Uh, all right, so we'll start. So we are looking into the 13th chapter, Kshetra Kṣhetrajña Vibhāg Yog. Till now, we looked up to first 14 shlokas, and today we will be looking from 15th to 21st shloka. Their meaning we'll try to understand as per our capacity, because this shloka is based on Jnana Yoga. So we need to keep our thinking caps on. And at the end, we'll go through the chanting of the shlokas. So let's start with the 15th verse. Sarvendriyagunabhasam Sarvendriyavivarjitam Asaktam sarvabhruchaiva Nirgunam gunabhoktrucha. So what's the meaning? Though he perceives all sense objects, yet he is devoid of the senses. He is unattached to everything, and yet he is the sustainer of. Although he is without attributes, yet he is the enjoyer of the three modes of material nature. Uh, till the 14th verse, we looked into what is Kshetra. We tried to understand the differentiation between Kshetra, what is Kshetra, and what is Kshetrajna. From 15th verse, Shri Krishna has started actually explaining the object of knowledge. So basically, this chapter is talking about what is the knowledge, what is to be known, and what is the field of activity. It is based on these three subjects. And we also went through the sadhana in order to gain this knowledge. We looked into 20 virtues to develop, 20 virtues, or they can be sadhana in itself. If we are practicing that, then that will lead to knowing the object of knowledge. And that is what he is starting with this verse. What is Kshetrajna? All these verses will have contradictory phrases, like he perceives the sense objects, yet he is devoid of the senses. So what does that mean? We get confused. He is unattached, asaktam. He is unattached to everything, but yet he is sustainer of everything. So we'll go into the detail of what Shri Krishna is trying to explain to Arjuna. So Shri Krishna continues to proceed step by step towards explaining Jneyam, what is to be known, the knowable, which is the eternal essence, divine essence, supreme consciousness, or Kshetrajna. You can call it by any name. By answering three questions with respect to its relationship with the organs of sense, that is Jnanendriyas, eyes, mouth, etc., and organs of action, Karmendriyas, hands, legs, etc. So what is the first question? Can the eternal essence exist without the organs? Shri Krishna says that the eternal essence can exist without the organs of sense and action, as it is mentioned in the verse, it is devoid of the senses. For example, electricity exists, but to express that electricity, it needs some medium, and that is the bulb. So electricity is there. Even in absence of bulb, electricity exists. In absence of waves, ocean still exists. Similarly, the divine consciousness, eternal essence, can exist or exists without any medium. So what is the next question? Can the organs of sense and action exist without the eternal essence? No. Can Kshetra exist without Kshetrajna? No. Since the eternal essence is Sarvabhrit, because he is the base, foundation, the supporter of all the upadhis, the field of activity in the form of easiness. That is the existence. That is, without that, nothing can exist. So the easiness of everything is provided by eternal essence, or you can call it as Kshetrajna. Like the water provide easiness to the wave. Why wave is existing? What is its base component? Water. But the eternal essence always remains asakta. He is not attached to the medium, or he is detached from the upadhis. Just like a movie screen remains detached from the movie. Whatever happens in the movie cannot affect the screen. So it is that foundation of everything. So that verse is talking about how this eternal essence is base or foundation of what we are seeing in the universe. Question 3. How does the eternal essence fit into this play of the senses? Shri Krishna says that even these three qualities are upadhis, that is sattva, rajas, tamas, and therefore the eternal essence is nirguna. He is nirguna, but something is happening to manifest to this entire universe. He is not attached to these qualities. When the senses play with their sense objects, the upadhis of sattva, rajas, tamas are transformed into joy, sorrow, delusion, etc. We'll go into this detail maybe in the coming verses. It might get a little bit confusing here. But when the eternal essence takes on the conditioning or the upadhi of the organs, as it as though moves, we have got hands. So when through the upadhi of sharira or hand moves, we feel that I am moving, and it as though supports their existence. Also, when the eternal essence takes on the upadhis of the three gunas, it as though becomes the experiencer. The key here is the phrase as though. You have to just remember always, this is bhasatmaka, as though I am experiencing sorrow, anger, sukha, dukkha, whatever it is. Since this addition or superimposition of the upadhis is only due to my ignorance. This process of assertion and negation is a technique known as adhyaropa apavada, a step-by-step means of getting closer and closer to the eternal essence. Means you just negate neti neti. I am not body. I am not mind. I am not intellect. I am not indriyas. Then what I am? Whatever remains, that foundation is my true nature. Okay, so this is all about Shloka 15. We will try to understand little more about it through some examples. So Kathopanishad says, Ashariram sharireshu. That eternal essence or divine essence is present in all beings who have upadhis like hands, feet, indriyas, etc. Yet it doesn't have them. He is nirguna. He can be saguna, but at the same time, he is nirguna. He is not having any upadhis. So as though he has those forms, we feel that I am this body. In Ganpati Atharva Shirsha, those who chant it regularly uh, can connect with this example. त्वमेव केवलं कर्तासि, त्वमेव केवलं धर्तासि, त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि, त्वमेव सर्वं खल्विदं ब्रह्मासि. By whose power the universe is created, sustained, and dissolved. You indeed are all this, the universe. You verily are the Brahman, giving consciousness to all. He is beyond that. त्वं गुणत्रयातीतः, त्वं अवस्थत्रयातीतः, त्वं देहत्रयातीतः, त्वं कालत्रयातीतः. You are beyond the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. Therefore, O Ganpati, help us realize your conscious essence, your eternal essence, beyond all the variations of the mind due to the play of gunas. Sometimes these gunas get predominant, and then we feel I am comfortable, I am not comfortable, I am happy, I am unhappy. But try to understand there is something beyond this. Only understanding these shlokas will change our perception towards our own self and to the in the jagat or in the universe. You are beyond the three states, waking, dream, and deep sleep. Therefore, O Ganpati, help us realize your conscious essence beyond the three states, the fourth state, the Turyavastha, beyond Jagrutavastha, Swapnavastha, and Sushupti Avastha. What is the fourth state is my true nature. So whatever these three states I am juggling with, this is bhasatmaka. You are beyond the three bodies, this gross body, subtle body, causal body. Therefore, O Ganpati, help us realize your conscious essence beyond the three bodies. So I am not this gross body, hands, feet, indriyas. I am not the subtle body, the prana, and I am not the causal body, something beyond that. You're beyond the three times, past, present, and future. Therefore, O Ganpati, help us realize your eternal essence beyond all times. He is not limited by time, but we are limited. So we need to understand what this eternal essence is. And this 13th chapter is giving in going into the depths of understanding what is Kshetrajna. So how we can differentiate between the Jiva and the eternal essence or the Paramatma. We have got the material senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue. But that Paramatma has got transcendental spiritual senses. So without eyes also he can see. If we pray at some corner of the world, he can hear our prayer. He can see that we are praying. But we have got limited senses, material senses. And these are contaminated by material nature, by trigunas, but his senses are uncontaminated. He is pure, pure consciousness. We are conditioned soul, but he is super soul, super consciousness. No one knows him. If we try to understand Kshetrajna by the means of mind, intellect, analysis, rationalizing, no, it is not. You are not going to understand through these means, but he knows everything. We are the slave of material energy, Prakriti, the field of activity. We are just playing, we are just getting ruled by Prakriti, but he is the master of material energy. So this is how we can differentiate between Kshetra and Kshetrajna. So any questions so far? I know the topic is very heavy, but we'll try to understand at our own level. Okay. So the next shloka is, now Shri Krishna is saying, Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha Sukshmatva tadavidneyam durastham chantike cha tata. He exists outside and inside all living beings. Those that are moving and non-moving, chara and achara. He is subtle and hence he is incomprehensible. He is very far, but he is also very near. All are contradictory phrases. Now, this shloka is the essence of the 13th chapter. If you want to know what is the 13th chapter, you can just contemplate on this 16th verse. And it is also based on the fifth mantra of Ishavasya Upanishad. Tadejati तन्नैजति तद्दूरे तदवन्तिके तदन्तरस्य सर्वस्य तदु सर्वस्यास्य बाह्यतः. He moves, it is motionless. It is distant, it is near. It is within all, it is without all this. So what it is all about, we'll try to understand. God is not knowable by the senses, mind, and intellect. The intellect is made from the material energy. Why? Because it is made up of Prakriti. It is the field of activity. It is Kshetra. So it cannot reach God, who is divine, who is transcendental, beyond senses. However, if God Himself bestows His grace upon someone, if He gives Buddhi Yoga, that fortunate soul can come to know Him. It is said that to understand Him, our material mind and senses cannot act. If you will feel that, okay, I will read Bhagavad Gita and then I will, come to know what is Kshetrajna. You will just gaining information what is Kshetrajna, but we haven't experienced it yet. But one who has purified his mind and senses by practicing devotional service can see him constantly, who is Ananya Bhakta. It is confirmed in Brahma Samhita that the devotee who has developed love for the Supreme God can see him always without cessation. See, our knowledge, 98%, it is by anumana, by inference. For example, if I can see the smoke, I infer there must be fire. And 2% is direct knowledge. So very less is direct knowledge. Paroksha jnana and aparoksha jnana. Have we seen electron, proton, neutron or atom? But we accept the presence of it. For those who have acquired about the nature of the eternal essence systematically. How? You have to go back to the previous session in order to understand all the 20 virtues to develop. That is the systematic way of developing knowledge about eternal essence. It is always immediately available as the self, the I within us. But for those who are ignorant, it is far away. Shankaracharya says that it is unattainable even in millions of years for such people who are slaves of their own gunas or the material energy. Whenever we focus on names and forms, whenever we focus on Kshetra, we lose the sight of the self. We lose the sight of Kshetrajna. But when we remove the upadhis of names and forms, we come back to the self, the I that is behind all the names and forms, just like the movie screen. Okay, once the movie, if we remove the attention from the movie, what lies behind it is the Kshetrajna. So, the shloka is mentioning about the subtleness of the Kshetrajna, and hence we cannot comprehend it. We can understand how the subtleness or how subtle the Kshetrajna is. If we think about the Pancha Mahabhutas, the first is Earth, Prithvi, and it has got tanmatras, five qualities, that is smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. Correct? And hence we can see or perceive Prithvi, which is very jada. The next Mahabhuta is water. It hasn't got smell, but taste, form, touch, and sound. Then comes the fire. It hasn't got taste, but form, touch, and sound. As we go along, wind, only touch and sound, space, only sound. So it is very hard to perceive space because it is very, very subtle than earth. Then comes Mahat Tattva. Then comes Ahankara. How to perceive Ahankara? How to perceive mind and intellect? Prakriti. And beyond that is the uh, divine essence, that super consciousness, which is the subtlest among all. But then still, uh, our Shastra says you can get the direct experience of divine essence. Shri Krishna has said in the 10th chapter, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamu te. To those whose minds are always united with me, that anusandhana, that constant connection with him, with loving devotion, I give the divine knowledge by which they can attain me. He also mentions out of compassion for them, tesha meva anukampartham aham jnanajam tamaha नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थो ज्ञानदीपेन bhasvata. Out of compassion, anukampa, he uh, has that anukampa towards his devotees who dwell within their hearts, destroy the darkness born of ignorance. He will do that with the luminous lamp of knowledge. Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. So that is how you should put all the efforts. You should be doing all your sadhana. And if he has anukampa towards you, he will give you buddhi yoga. He will lit the lamp of knowledge within you, because where he is there into your heart. Okay. So this shloka is uh, clear enough that even he is near, how he is far, how he is sukshma, he is inside and out. So he is basically everywhere. But you need to develop that constant anusandhana towards him, and rest of the sadhana or rest of the thing is only is can only happen with his grace. Okay. The next shloka is avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktamiva cha sthitam bhutabhatra cha tadneyam grasenum prabhavishnu cha. He is indivisible, yet he appears to be divided amongst living beings. Know the supreme entity to be the sustainer, annihilator, and creator of all beings. So, Shri Krishna further describes the distortion created by upadhis or conditioning in our understanding of the Kshetrajna. He begins by asserting that the eternal essence is undivided, like a space. If there are 10 pots, we feel that that space is trapped within that pot. But if the pot is broken, space is uniform, undivided. It is unbroken and continuous. It cannot be chopped up into pieces. But because of space as an upadhi, it appears as if the eternal essence exists differently in various beings. That eternal essence is broken in me, in another person, in that person. No, it's not like that. It is everywhere. It is inside as well as outside. Just as the ocean throws up waves and then absorbs them back into itself. Similarly, God creates the world, maintains it, and then absorbs it back into himself. Shri Krishna says that ultimately it is the eternal essence that provides the foundation for the life cycle of the universe. Like we are born, we are going to be here for some time and then will be dissolved. Similarly, it happens to the universe. It got created, it's going to be there for some time, and ultimately it's going to dissolve. Waves are created, sustained, and dissolved back into the ocean. If we pay attention to the waves, we lose sight of the ocean, that it is one undivided foundation which is behind all the waves. So we have to develop that perception. We come back to the same point again. The eternal essence provides existence, the easiness to all names and forms in the universe. Okay. Now, in order to understand this further, we'll try to uh, go through these four types of Bhedas. What we feel that me as a Jiva and another Jiva are two different entities. Then we all as Jiva and what we are seeing outside this Jagat, okay? Jiva and Jagat, that is the another Bheda, differentiation. Then me as a person and that is God, Dvaita, this is the separate entity. And Jagat, what I perceive as the universe, and Ishvara. All again, this is bhasatmak. We feel everything is separate. Wave is separate from ocean, but it appears as though they are different. But Jiva, Jagat, Ishwar are one and the same. Bhuta what he is saying, Bhuta. So, uh, Prabha Vishnu, who is the creator. So when the Rajoguna predominates, everything gets created. Then Vishnu, the sustainer, Prabha Vishnu is the Brahma, then Vishnu as the sustainer. When Sattva, with the help of Sattva Guna, he sustains, maintains the Jagat. And Grasishnu, he is the destroyer when Tamasa is predominant, or we call it as Mahesh or Shiva. But ultimately, beyond Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesha, there is again that entity, or we feel that okay, this Lord has created, then this Lord is going to sustain, this Lord is going to annihilate. But no, they are one and the same. Similarly, Jeev, Jagat, and Ishwar, one and the same. We need to understand this underlying fact. Okay. Going forward, ज्योतिषामपि तज्ज्योतिः तमसः परमुच्यते ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं ज्ञानगम्यं हृदि सर्वस्य विष्ठितम्. He is the source of light in all luminaries, sun, moon, stars, and is entirely beyond the darkness of ignorance. He is beyond darkness. He is beyond ignorance. He is knowledge. We are trying to understand what Kshetrajna is. So what he is, he himself is knowledge, object of knowledge and goal of knowledge. Everything is Kshetrajna. He dwells within the hearts of all living beings. This shloka is based on the mantra from Mundaka Upanishad. न तत्र सूर्यो भाति द चंद्र तारकम नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतो यमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति. What does that mean? The sun shines not there, nor the moon, nor the stars, nor do these lightnings shine. How could this fire, from where they are getting light, all shine after him who shines? He is the Mahateja. All this is illumined by his radiance. Even the sun gets that power of giving light to the universe by him. The word light in the Vedas refers to knowledge equals awareness, which means that ultimately it is the eternal essence that provides the power of awareness, the power to know to all beings. Without the eternal essence, we would have no awareness. We can understand this by example. Students sitting in a bench, one after the other in an exam hall. The student in the last row, just imagine it as a kshetrajna. The student before him may be the ahankara, then buddhi, then manas, then indriyas. So if we are trying to understand Kshetrajna through the means of Indriyas, mind, buddhi, ahankar, no one can understand. No one can see, because the student sitting in the first row cannot see anything. Maybe the student behind him, the mind and buddhi, can understand about the Indriyas. The Mahata Tattva, which is beyond mana, buddhi, indriyas, can know about them. But that ultimate awareness, that knowledge behind on the student sitting in the last row, Kshetrajna, if you have that awareness, you can have the knowledge of everything. The word darkness refers to ignorance. Now, this material world where this Martya Loka is called Tamaha. Tamaha means darkness. Why it is darkness? By nature it is dark. Simply by the sunshine, moonshine, electricity, we keep it brightened for some time, which is temporary. Okay. But he is beyond light and dark, knowledge and ignorance. God has three unique names: Vedakrit, Vedavit, Vedavidya. Vedavidya. He is Vedakrit, means one who manifested the Vedas. He is Vedavit, one who knows the Vedas. And he is Vedavedya, means one who is to be known through the Vedas. So the knowledge, object of knowledge, and the knowledge itself is him. In the same manner, Shri Krishna describes the supreme entity as Jnana, the object worthy to be knowing. See, if you're doctor, engineer, lawyer, that's fine. That is Laukika Jnana. That is needed. But beyond that, if you want to have that supreme knowledge, you need to know about Kshetrajna. So the object worthy of knowing, Jnana Gamya, the goal of all knowledge, and Jnana, the true knowledge. All the three is Kshetrajna. Okay. So we have this beautiful sentence, Athato Brahma Jidnyasa. One should try to understand him, and he is in everyone's heart. Anahata Chakra, Hridayastha Paramatma. So ultimately, what you need to know in this human birth is Athato Brahma Jidnyasa. You have that Jidnyasa, you should develop or have that Jidnyasa to know Him. Simply, we must know the process, how to know Him. And that is also given by Shri Krishna in the previous verses. That is explained already. We have discussed amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshanti, arjavam. You can go all these 20 virtues. So human life is meant for understanding this. This is the ultimate knowledge. And the next shloka. Iti kshetram tatha jnanam dneyam choktam samasatah madbhakta sorry madbhakta etad vidnyaya madbhavayopapadyate. I have just revealed to you the nature of the field, that is the kshetra, the meaning of knowledge, and the object of knowledge. Only my devotees can understand this in reality by getting the direct experience, and by doing so, they attain my divine nature. So far, Shri Krishna spoke about what things Kshetra, the field. So if you want to go back and know about the shlokas 5 and 6, in that he has explained what is Kshetrajna. The field comprises of 24 aspects, which are the building blocks of the universe. The field also comprises 7 modifications by which the individual comes into contact with the world. The field works like a machine but is devoid of awareness and is inert. It is jada. It needs to borrow awareness from some other source. Then Shloka 7 to 11 gives 20 sadhanas. So when you practice that, it becomes sadhanatmak knowledge, sadhanatmak jnana. The source is the eternal essence. So from where they need to borrow this awareness? From the source, from the eternal awareness. It is Gneyam, the object to be known, that which is to be known. The field acts as an upadhi, something which as though limits and conditions the eternal essence. Once we have learned how to mentally remove upadhis, neti neti, we are ready to understand the eternal essence. So from shlokas 12 to 17, Shri Krishna uses paradoxes and contradictions to explain the nature of eternal essence. It is like two sides of the same coin, saguna, nirguna. Our in only in order to understand the nirguna, you have to go through the saguna form. Unless it is very difficult to understand. Our intellect is a product of the field, kshetra, and will never grasp what is Kshetrajna. So paradoxical statements like it is near yet it is far are used so that our intellect doesn't mistakenly turn the eternal essence into yet another concept. So just to make it sure, uh, how it is, both. It is Saguna as well as Nirguna. He is near as well as far. He is inside as well as outside. Shri Krishna concludes his description of the field and the object of knowledge by mentioning the fruit of knowing this topic and says that only the bhaktas, devotees, can truly understand this knowledge. Who can understand this, Um, Bhakti is the essential ingredient. What we need is bhakti, that ingredient in all paths leading to knowledge of God. So, that work which is done in devotion to God is the real karma. If any action without anusandhana of God is not uh, or is just a mere action. But when it is done with anusandhana of God, it becomes karma yoga. Otherwise, it is just a mere action. That knowledge which increases love for God is real knowledge. Devotion not only help us to know God, but it also makes the devotees God-like. And hence, Shri Krishna states that the devotees attain his nature. He becomes divine. That is aparoksha dhyan, direct knowledge, direct experience. What we are talking about, that 2% of direct knowledge can happen. The Guru Grantha Sahib states there is no personality like God. There is no path equal to the path of devotion. There is no human equal to the Guru. And there is no scripture that can compare with the Gita. A devotee means one who knows that whatever he sees, hears, or touches is nothing but Ishvara, and that Ishvara is residing in him as his self. Only one who has such a firm conviction through meditation, through sadhana, that everything, including himself, is ultimately Ishvara, will attain liberation. Who goes beyond the Bhedas, Jeev, Jagat, Ishvara, who has developed the perception of that unity, uh, can attain or can get that aparoksha dhyana. Next shloka. Prakritim purusham chaiva vidyanadi ubhavapi vikaranshcha gunashchaiva vidhi prakriti sambhavan. Now, Shri Krishna is starting a new topic about Prakriti and Purusha. Know that Prakriti, the material nature, and Purusha, the individual souls, are both beginningless, anadi, both. Ubha means both. Also, know that all transformations, modifications of the body and mind, and the three modes of nature are produced by Prakriti, the material nature. We'll try to understand this in detail. So, does all this explanation help us understand what ultimately causes us to experience maybe happiness or sorrow in our life? In this shloka, Shri Krishna begins a new topic to explain this issue in detail. He describes how we fall into the trap of samsara, the cycle of birth and death. So the lower nature is termed as Prakriti and the higher nature is termed as Purusha. The combinations or modifications of Prakriti are termed as vikaras. Prakriti also comprise the three gunas or qualities which are sattva, rajas and tamas. These qualities manifest as mental states. Again, these are subtle. So how we can see sattva guna when we are happy, when we are very, having those passions and desires, rajas guna is dominant. And when we are very dull, lethargic, tamasa guna. So, whenever we experience emotions such as sorrow, grief, anger, and so on, it is Prakriti that creates it. It is the field of activity. It is the Kshetra who is dominant, not the self, not the Purusha, not the I. This you need to differentiate every moment of your life. This is what was explained in the shloka. But when anger arises in our mind, for instance, we always say, I am angry. How do we conclude that I is angry when it is actually Prakriti that creates the anger? Kshetra, it is in the field of Kshetra. Now, this is explained in the next shloka. But before that, yeah. All right. So, this we need to understand. Even if I'm feeling happiness, anger, sorrow, it is not me. I am different from anger. I am different from sorrow. So, this constant discrimination, viveka, is needed. Last shloka of the today's session. कार्य कारण कर्तृत्वे हेतुः प्रकृतिरुच्यते पुरुषः सुख दुःखानां भोक्तृत्वे हेतुरुच्यते. In the matter of creation, the material energy is responsible for cause and effect, karya and karana. In the matter of experiencing happiness and distress, the individual soul is declared responsible. Again, a bit confusing shloka, but we'll try to understand through this. So far, what Shri Krishna has explained is about four things, Kshetra, Jnana, Neya, and Ajnana. So whatever is not Jnana is Ajnana. Now, he is using different path explaining the same thing, which is called as Samkhya Marga. But Samkhya Marga talks about only two things, Atma and Anatma, Purusha and Prakriti pair. Shri Krishna says that he only took avatar of Kapila Muni to explain Sankhya Yoga. The first is Kshetra, Prakriti. So if there is any form, there has to be some shadow. So whatever comes under shadow, Prakriti, Kshetra is another thing, that is one of the pair, and a Kshetrajna, Purusha, the form or the object. Karya Karana Kartrutva. So all this is happening with these two things. So Purusha and Prakriti. Kriya Rupa Prakriti. Depending upon which type of guna is predominant. So if you are doing any good karmas, Sattva guna is predominant. Any bad karma, Nishiddha karma, Tamasa is predominant. Accordingly leads to Sukha and Dukkha, and the experiencer is Purusha. So here, when our intellect is combined with the desire, the passion, ichha, uh, that leads Prakriti to do some kriya, to do some karya. all our upadhis like ahankara, manasa, indriyas, with the medium of these, we do karya, we do activities. Depending upon which guna is predominant, okay, if the sattva guna in you is predominant, you will tend to do all the good actions. If rajasa guna is predominant, it is full of passion and desire, and you are very, very goal oriented. You need the fruits of action. And tamasa guna, you can lead to do any bad actions. So whatever the actions are, you will experience either sorrow or uh, happiness, sukha or dukkha. And who is experiencing it? The Purusha. He is just the witness. He is experiencing everything. What is going on in the Kshetra part, in the field of activity. That is all done by the influence of Prakriti. So we need to develop constant viveka between Purusha and Prakriti, between what is Nitya and Anitya, what is Atma and Anatma. Okay, so here we will stop, and then from the next shloka, we will go into the depth that how even that experiencer is the bhasatmak. So here we'll stop. If you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise, we'll spend remaining 5 minutes for chanting the shlokas. So for chanting, you can unmute your call. So please repeat after me. Sarvendriyagunabhasam.
Sarvendriyagunabhasam.
Sarvendriyavivarjitam.
Sarvendriyavivarjitam.
Asaktam sarvabhruchaiva.
Asaktam sarvabhujaita.
Nirgunam gunabhoktru cha.
Nirguna gunam bhoktracha.
Bahirantascha bhutanam.
Bahiranashta bhutana.
Acharam charameva cha.
Acharam charamevacha.
Sukshmatvat tadavidneyam.
Sukshmatvat vigniyam.
Durastham chantike cha tata.
Durastam chantikate chata.
Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu.
Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu.
Vibhaktamiva cha sthitam.
Vibhaktami vichastam.
Vibhaktamiva cha sthitam.
Vibhak sorry.
Tamiva. Okay. Vibhakta miva cha sthitam.
Vibhakta
Miva
miva
cha
cha sthitam.
sthitam. Yeah. Bhuta bhatra cha tadneyam.
Bhutabhadra cha teniyam.
Grasishnu prabhavishnu cha.
Grashishnu prabhavishnu cha.
Very good. Jyotishamapi tajyotihi.
Jyotishamapi vat jyotihi
tamasah paramuchyate.
tamassa paramachut uchyate
Jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam.
Jnanam jnanagamyam
Rudhi sarvasya vishtitam.
Hrude sarvashtam vishitam
Vishtitam.
Vishtitam
Iti kshetram tatha jnanam.
Iti kshetram tatha jnanam
Jneyam choktam samasatah.
Neyam choktam samastata
Madbhakta etad vidnyaya.
Madbhakta etad vigniya
Madbhavayopapadyate.
Madbhavayopatathyade
Prakritim purusham chaiva.
Prakritim purusham chaiva
Vidhyadnadi ubhavapi.
Vidya
Nadi
Vidyanadi
ubhavapi.
Upavavi
Vikaranshcha gunashchaiva.
Vikarascha jagunaschaiva
Vidhi prakriti sambhavan.
Vidhi prakriti sambhavan
Karya karana kartrutve.
Karya karana kartrutvehe
Hetuhu prakriti ruchyate.
Hetu prakriti ruchyate
Purusha sukha dukkhanam.
Purusha sukha dukkhanam
Bhoktritve heturuchyate.
Bhoktratve hetu ruchyate.
Very good. So, do you have any questions about what we have discussed? Jagruti, I think, seeing you for the first time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me along. It was a wonderful session. Really, really
Oh,
enjoyed it.
thank you. So, from where you have joined the session?
I'm here in just outside Hertfordshire on the Hertfordshire-Bedfordshire border in the UK, obviously.
Okay.
My yoga teacher Sarah O'Connor sent me the link to join this, so I'm joining for the first time. And
Right.
wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Really,
thank
really
you so
enjoyed.
much. Nice to see you.